Should you play Dead by Daylight? Let's find out right now. Hey guys, Major Minus here once again, bringing you the second part of the series, Should You Play? And today we're taking a look at one of my favorite games, especially nowadays. I got 300 plus hours across PC and PlayStation, and I'm even considering getting it on a Switch in the future because it just got released. We're looking at Dead by Daylight, okay? It's a 4v1 asymmetrical survival co-op game that was released in 2017 by Behavior Studios. So the first thing we're going to take a look at, as always, is the story. And now, just like before with League, this game is more centered around its gameplay. So its story is kind of just sprinkled. Each character has their own biography and lore written into their abilities list. And the cool thing is that most of their abilities and their perks coordinate with their lore, which is fascinating. The entity is this being, this kind of demon-like creature that has brought all of the characters in the game to a location, different various maps, and the killer was brought by the entity to kill the survivors, and the survivors are brought there to be tested in these trials, and their job is to escape from the killer. Okay, so gameplay-wise, you have two sides, like I said. It's 4 versus 1. So the 4 is 4 survivors. So every survivor's job in the game, once they load into the random map, each map is not randomly generated. There are a couple different kinds of maps, and they're put on a rotation. Sometimes you can burn offerings in the game that will increase your likelihood of going to a certain map. It's not always guaranteed, though. So the survivors load in, and it's their job to run, hide, and do generators in order to escape the killer's grasp in different various ways. And there's perks and abilities that the survivors have that help them facilitate their own survival. So, on the other side of the spectrum, you have the killer, which is the one in the 4v1. Their job is to kill the survivors. Each killer has their own abilities and perks that help them facilitate killing the survivors. The cool thing about the game is that for each there's a bunch of different killers and survivors in the game, but each killer has their own abilities and perks, and there's DLC characters that are licensed killers, such as Leatherface, Michael Myers, the Pig, which is a disciple from Saw, Freddy Krueger, and others. And then there's unlicensed killers, which are original creations by the developers, such as the Wraith, the Trapper. The developers are constantly ushering in more and more DLC as time goes by. They do it on a consistent basis, about an every 3-month cycle. So about 4 DLC packs a year, give or take a little bit of time for different events that they offer. So gameplay wise, it's varied. It's a little bit repetitive. Quite repetitive, because when survivors do generators, their job is to hold down the mouse button, and they'll get like a skill check, which is a small quick time event that if you miss it, then the killer gets a notification and the generator explodes, and they can come and find you and hunt you down. But the job of the survivors is to obviously not to let that happen, or to run and slam pallets down on the killer and evade their grasp. And they can do so in different ways. So as far as presentation goes for this game, it's not really a looker. You would notice that if you ever saw it in like a trailer, or if you saw it in Twitch, because it's very popular on Twitch and YouTube. Once again, in this game in particular, the focus is on the gameplay, because it is very addictive, just much like League of Legends. But this time around, the gameplay loop is much more casual. It can be competitive. It can be skill oriented, and to a certain degree, it is. In this case, though, Dead by Daylight has some noticeable problems in the department, such as like the overall stability of the game, the stability of servers, because unfortunately, currently, the main basis for playing the game is on peer-to-peer servers. The survivors are dependent upon the killer's internet. If the killer has terrible internet, then the survivor's gameplay experience is terrible. They'll lag all over the place. Their hitboxes will be all over the place. They'll they won't be able to vault certain windows, run very efficiently, escape the killer at all, and it gets frustrating, and most people just disconnect from the game, which is also another problem. People disconnect from the game. So in that aspect, the overall stability of the game is kind of one of the reasons why it's not like a legendary, like it's not even a 9 or a 10 for me. There are a lot of those issues that are being resolved now. The developers are extremely hardworking. Behavior are really, really good about listening to player feedback and making changes and adapting every single month with yearly monthly patches. And they work really hard to make the game better. They've done so since 2017, and they have a roadmap ahead, which is really, really awesome to see. They have a detailed layout of everything that they're intending to do, different killers that are supposed to be coming out, different changes made to the game. They recently just added the portability to the Switch, the Nintendo Switch, which is awesome. They are adding mobile play on your iPhone. Dedicated servers, dedicated behavior servers, which will be appreciated and increase the overall stability of the game. They rework killers. Freddy Krueger was an awful killer whenever he first came out, and they reworked him, and now he's fantastic. He's one of the best killers in the game currently. So seeing a developer make these kinds of changes and change the complexion of a game that seemingly was so one-dimensional at first is one of the reasons why I can come back to this game reliably. It's because there's not many other games that get so much better every single year. It's more incremental, but it seems exponential for Dead by Daylight, and it's one of the main reasons why I keep coming back to it. And one of the main reasons why I bought it on so many different platforms, just because I know it's only going to get better. Some may argue otherwise, but bias is bias. Overall quality. So, as I said before, the presentation of the game is a little bit lackluster, but once again, that's not really the intent of this game, especially since the price point is usually for the base game with a couple of DLCs that are embedded in the game. There are only a few major problems in the game, like the stability and the presentation, and the game is only $20 or less. Currently on PlayStation, it's like $15, and you get like 2 or 3 DLCs, and then like 5 survivors and 5 killers embedded in the game, and the others are anywhere between $6 to $12, depending upon the DLC that you get. And then they go on sale. They go on sale all the time. They recently added the Stranger Things DLC, which is fantastic. It's available for like $12 or something. 2 survivors and a killer, and a lot of really, really good content in between that. So overall, I think personally for me, because this is one of my most favorite games to play nowadays, it's one of my most favorite to stream, to play with other people. As frustrating as it can be, which could be said for any game, the fun value really outweighs the frustration with the game's stability, the game's technical issues. It's not really what it's about, and the price point really, really hammers it home for me, especially because of that price point. So I would highly recommend that you go pick it up. It's a lot of fun, especially if you get some of your friends to play it. I just had one of my best friends buy it today. He's downloading it right now. We're going to play some tomorrow. I highly recommend that you go out and get Dead by Daylight, specifically probably on PC or console. The Nintendo Switch version, since it's so new, and the Switch is really designed for a certain breed of games, Dead by Daylight is kind of suffering on there a little bit right now. Like I said, it'll only get better, but you should pick it up on the PC or the PS4, Xbox, because it is more stable currently, and it's actually cheaper on there right now too. The DLCs are cheaper as well. I am going to give my final verdict of an 8 out of 10 to Dead by Daylight, and I think you should play it right now. Thanks, guys. This has been Major Minus, and we'll see you in the next one.